Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be listening. And welcome to you from, like I said, from wherever in the world you may be listening. I just returned from a trip we were in Doha, Qatar. We were in Dubai, and we went to Istanbul, and had a great time. And one of the fun things for me in Dubai was I did a live podcast last week. Put it up there, and I was from my hotel room in Dubai after a day of sightseeing. Just briefly about those countries, they're not exactly as I thought, or as I was led to believe. These are highly advanced civilizations. You go to look at highly rich societies, especially Qatar. Qatar is more conservative. Dubai is very loose, very Western-like. And then, the architecture there, you look at it, and it makes our architecture here, like, say, it makes LA look like a third world country. Yeah, anyway, it was really great. We had a good time, and Istanbul was a lot of fun. It's to get around in these countries, to get around in Qatar and Doha, Qatar, just take an Uber. It was so cheap. It was like $1 or $2 to get anywhere you wanted to go. In Dubai, if you could take the metro, take the metro. Traffic was horrible. And then in Istanbul, do not take a taxi, which we never did. You can get around pretty well with mass transit, and then maybe on your way out, you go ahead and rent yourself a limo. But a lot of people are having trouble with taxi cabs in Istanbul, and but we had a really great time. It was really nice. I really enjoyed myself. Whenever I go out and do these trips, I kind of have not whenever, but this time I had a little insight, I had a little awakening that's been coming for a long time. I have been experiencing for a long time what I thought was just weirdness. Things like synchronicities. Very common with me to have synchronicities for the last 36 years. Ever since it started when I started practicing Buddhism. You know what a synchronicity is? It's like odd things happen in connection and that have a meaning to you. I remember my first synchronicity was when I first started practicing Buddhism, and I was had this little one-bedroom studio apartment on this property down in San Clemente, and somebody was breaking into the rooms, and they thought it was me because I was pretty low profile, not low profile, low class. I was the obvious suspect. And the cop, I prayed that they would catch the guy breaking into these rooms. There was chanting involved. And that night they had the guy arrested, and they come to my door, knocking on my door. Hey, this guy's been on the property. Said he's a property manager. I go, he is not. And it book him, Dano. And that was like one of my first synchronicities. And then I think that had to do with the universe contacting me and my old personality cracking. 'Cause I was still heavily into alcohol and drugs at that point, and my personality cracking, and my soul wanting to come out and express itself, and the universe is opening the door for me. And I've been sober now for 36 years. It's a long story, but it does have to do with what I'm talking about right now. So that's a synchronicity. Archetypes, I encountered the I Ching. Those are archetypes, all archetypes. And I encountered the tarot and the runes. And these are all archetypes for my inner self to become more aware and come outward to be able to communicate with my inner self. I have a higher power I call Sophia. Sophia is it's the enlightened mind of the deity. And that is what Sophia is. And that is who my higher power is. And I've been kind of wondering, as all these weird things were happening, I had another synchronicity while I was in Qatar. Is this happening exterior to me or interior to me? And I think the answer is both. My little synchronicity had to do with my relationship with my brother, and things got resolved with that. But they become kind of commonplace with me, my synchronicities. And it is because I've been on a path of awakening. and I started looking at Carl Jung, C.G. Jung's spiritual awakening and concepts that he uses when experiencing that. And he talks about these same things that I'm talking about in terms of archetypes and synchronicities and just the things I'm talking, synchronicities, what else? And just being different and realizing I'm a little different from everybody else. I kind of have withdrawn from the herd. I'm not involved in the universal unconscious. Sometimes that's why I withdrew from commercial television, was to get away from the commercials. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was to withdraw and get away from the commercials. As a result of all this, let me get to a point. I've experienced individuation, some level of individuation, probably late level individuation. And that's what kind of hit me on my trip this time. And what that means is just that I perceive positive and negatives, and I can hold that in one concept. Or let's say I can perceive the concept of Jesus, and then I can also perceive the concept of Judas. And now most people will say, oh, Judas is a bad person. And I'm saying, no, without Judas, Jesus would not have been able to accomplish his mission. And I'm able to hold both of those ideas internally. I'm able to hold positives and negatives as a whole and take a look at it. And that's part of individuation. Also, as part of individuation, you contact your inner self. You have an inner self, a personality that you don't even know about. Most people never know about, and it communicates with you through dreams, through behavior, through desire, through wants. And by doing all these things, and I thought I was weird by having these experiences, but Carl Jung lays it all out in his spiritual awakenings and theory of individuation. And these are all steps on the path to full individuation or wholeness with that inner personality inside you, that subconscious personality that most people don't pay attention to and deny, and to your external, your consciousness. And my subconscious tells me, it took me a while to get to a point of full individuation, and my subconscious tells me, well, no, it's because of the alcoholism. The alcoholism held you back. I said, well, okay, I believe that. So I will be talking more about the process of individuation. I'll be talking about my experiences with it, ego deflation, and how that is sometimes is the dark night of the soul, how that was for me. And I've had several incidents of ego deflation, which are part of the journey. Ego deflation happened when I got sober. It happened once when I was backpacking. It happened when I experienced failure in my life, and sometimes failure is a necessary pain for you to experience some growth. It's happened to me through psychotropics, ayahuasca. That is total powerless. Your ego is totally powerless when you're taking a psychotropic, and I don't advocate taking psychotropics for entertainment purposes, but for internal journeys or for social purposes. Yeah, for internal growth, for spiritual purposes. Yeah, but you have to do these things under specific guidelines, and I'll talk about that. But you get a definite ego deflation. And a lot of times now what I'm doing with my tarot cards is it's giving my internal personality, my subconscious, an ability to manifest and speak to me through the tarot cards. Now, also though, when you do tarot cards, that subconscious is in contact with the superconscious. That superconscious is how can I say it? It's that divine mind of God. It's that Sophia wisdom. It's that the intelligence of the deity, rationality of the deity working through your subconscious and manifesting itself in your current life. As a result of individuation, you develop a higher self, a higher point of reference, and I'm guided by that. I'm guided by what is right and what is wrong. I'm not guided by I can't tolerate organized religion because I cannot follow religious leaders. I can listen to them and I can absorb some of what they say, but I can't be a follower. I can't be a follower of specific political concepts, political parties. I definitely cannot be a Trumper, and nor can I be a Biden fan, because I am guided by that higher part of me, that higher knowledge that is my guidance, and that happens as a result of individuation, and that is what I'm guided by. So when I look at these people, especially, I wonder, how could these Trumpers be following this guy? It's utter insanity. My opinion is they have not developed that higher sense of self, that higher center that guides them, and they are guided by exterior things, by what this guy says, by what this guy promises, and they are underdeveloped human beings. They have not been able to develop that higher sense of self, that eternal guideline that exists within each of us, but that needs to be developed. And that is a little bit of what I experienced today. So I'm going to talk a little bit. I've already talked a little bit. Well, today I'm going to do a little reading on, I'm concerned about we'll do a little tarot reading. And I still do tarot readings. It's still an essential part of my life. And then they talk about that as archetypes. Tarot is full of archetypes. And when I do a reading for somebody personally, you're doing I'm forcing the universe into a synchronistic event, and then I'm activating archetypes which exist within all of us. But my question for the tarot today is on the government shutdown. I hope you didn't find my little podcast too boring. So what can we expect from this government shutdown? I think Trump has taken a little bit too far as part of this process of individuation too. No, I don't like Trump. I think him and his party are doing Nazi stuff. Not, when you have masked agents roaming the street and disappearing people without due process. That is Nazi stuff, and that's what they're doing. But my being upset with Trump is not so much Trump; it's my projection. I'm projecting the deeper parts of me, the parts of me that I don't want to look at. He is my shadow work. When you have arrogance, selfishness, and ego out front on display for everybody. And these are things I work to suppress. And Trump, these are things that Trump comes right out and says, no, it's okay. And all his followers come right out with it too. Oh, it's okay to be like that. And that's why he upsets me so much, It's not him. Sorry, me being upset with him. It's not him. It's me. He is a projection of my shadow, of my darker self that I want to deny and not look at. But so now he's got us in his government shutdown. I'm going to throw out some cards. What can we expect as a result of this government shutdown? And I'm ready for it to end already. We'll see how it's going to end. I'm wondering if Trump has overplayed his hand. What can we expect from this government shutdown? And I'm going to cut the cards, and I'm going to do a 9-card reading. And let's see what we come up with. My first card is the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups that is the prodigal son. I guess that's the American people. We want to come to a place where we don't have to fight anymore, where we're happy, where we're accepted, where things are going to work out just the way they're supposed to work out. And that is the American people. We want to be the prodigal son. Crossing the prodigal son, the hangman. Isn't that appropriate? He's in limbo. He's between two choices, between a higher world and a lower world, and he's making a sacrifice. He is making a sacrifice for. This is the card of Odin, where he hung up from the tree of life and sacrificed an eye for wisdom of the runes. That is Odin, but it is also the card of being in between and hung out and just left hanging. And that's where we are as a society right now with this government shutdown. We're just kind of left hanging. What are these guys going to do? We just want a peaceful life. We want to be accepted. We want our government to take care of things and work for us. But it's not. They're not. They're just leaving us hung out to dry. And below us, the foundation is on the Nine of Cups. That is the wish-granting jewel. We wish things were back to normal. Even people weren't happy with Biden, but we were coming out of COVID, and we felt that things were coming back to normal. Now, I'm not a promoter of Biden, but we surely didn't have the conflict that we have right now. A lot of people weren't happy with him, and that's okay. That's their projection. But that's what we want, that's the foundation. We just want things to come back to normal. We want the wish. That's our wish, that things will calm down and come back to normal, and that is our desire. Behind us, we have the very appropriate, the Five of Wands. That is a card of chaos, and that is what is behind us. January 6th is behind us. COVID is behind us. The Black Lives Matter movement, that is behind us. The George Floyd protest, that's all behind us. All this chaos is behind us, and as we're starting to move forward, and I hope we're able to move past what we're currently going through. I think this government shutdown is just a manifestation. It's of things that it's not just this one individual trying to make us all suffer, which he does, especially after the protest. And good job, everybody, on the protest. Yeah, you guys did a great job on that. While I was vacationing in Dubai. So we got a lot of conflict that is behind us, a lot of chaos that is behind us. What's crowning the reading is the Two of Swords. So the Two of Swords, we're taking in and evaluating the information that's being fed to us. Now, I'm going to be very careful what I mean by that. We're taking in the information that is available, that we choose to avail ourselves of. Now, if you choose to avail yourself only of Fox News, well, that's what you're going to get, garbage in, garbage out. But if you're a little bit more enlightened, you'll tend to look at a couple different news sources and make up your own mind. And right now, in regards to the situation I'm talking about, which is the government shutdown, we're still evaluating, and we're at a crossroads. You said Two of Swords, and we haven't quite made up our minds how we feel about this, but we're going to see. And then ahead of us, an energy that's just ahead of us is the Three of Pentacles. That's one of my favorite cards, the Three of Pentacles, because it shows a master craftsman building a cathedral with two, maybe an architect and a priest, a high clergyman, and they're guiding him, and they like they accept the craftsman's opinion, and they're all working together on building a higher structure. And that is like all of us. We want our country to be successful. We want to build a better country. We want it to be a higher structure. We want our politicians to work for us. And we are building that. America's not done. We're not done building. We're not done making this a better country. We want to make this a better country for ourselves, for our children, and for our children's children. And that is the energy that is before us. We're looking at how to make this thing better. And I'm not particularly happy with the Democratic Party either. I think they let us down in the past, too. That's one of the reasons we're here, because they did such a crappy job. So as we move forward, we're going to have to do some things differently, because the things that we were doing in the past simply weren't working, because those are the things that led us to the position we are right now. So we're looking at rebuilding the structure of the country and rebuilding the structure of society. And the things are going to have to be worked out. And then how do we see ourselves? What is the environment that we see ourselves in? The card is Temperance, where we're testing the waters. Is 1 foot on solid ground, 1 foot in the water, and we are very slowly testing out new ideas, new concepts, new possibilities. What do we want for leadership in the future? Which direction are we going to go? How are we going to conduct ourselves as we move forward? How does everybody else see us, the environment? It's not as bad as I thought. Then we have the Seven of Pentacles. You see a guy leaning on a hoe, and you see the pentacles like pumpkins growing on a bush. And this is somebody who's has a long-term. Everybody in the world sees us as working on a long-term plan. Rather than trying to win the lottery, we're planting a field and we're cultivating our society. And this is just a period of change, because that's another one of my questions. How does the rest of the world view us? They just view us as this is a part of our process. I think as far as trade negotiations and the rest of that stuff goes, the rest of the world is just going to hold back, because I see how unstable our current administration is. And they're not going to want to make deals with this unstable administration. They're just going to hold back until some of this process works its way through. And it's a long-term process, and it's going to take a while. And that is how the world sees us, about our environment with regards to what's happening with our government shutdown. And hopes and fears, the Two of Cups. Two of Cups, you see a man and a woman holding cups, and the twirled snakes and the lion head with wings, and that has to do with the conscious and the subconscious, our hopes and fears. We hope that our lives, our spiritual lives, will be guided by that higher thinking, and the man being conscious, the woman being the subconscious, and that cups being that relationship. And that is the essence of individuation, isn't it? And then to be guided by that higher guiding part of our lives, the higher guiding intelligence that resides within all of us. And that is what we truly want. That is the card of individuation, is the Two of Cups. If you take a look at it, that incorporates everything I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast. And then final outcome, the Star. It's a very positive outcome. I'll throw some, I don't even need to throw any runes on this today, but the Star has to do with, you see, again, we see a person with their knee on the ground and their foot in the water. So they're testing. They got one foot in the conscious, one foot in the subconscious, and their water is being poured onto the ground to fertilize the ground and to fertilize the conscious. In the background, you have the ibis, and that is the wisdom of Sophia. And you have this, all the stars, the 7 stars, and those are the chakras, the enlightened chakras. So as a result of this, I think we're going to come out of this better informed, better balanced, with I don't know what's going to happen. I think there's going to be some changes, but the changes that come out is going to leave us in a better situation than we're currently in. So that is going to be my little short podcast for today.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot!
It was my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed my little podcast. If you'd like to contact me, I'm going to be contacted from my website at john at johnstarot.net. I'm having a little trouble with my email right now. I'll have to take a look at it and get that fixed. And what else? Oh, I put up a new video up there if you want to take a look, a video, and it has to do with how did our current administration kind of show that he has dementia. And I have that up there on my webpage. It's also on my YouTube page, and I call it the Bobblehead. So take a look at that and enjoy that. So until this Friday, be careful, be cool, be kind, and remember, have courage, find faith, and I will talk to you all later in the week. Have a good day. All right, bye-bye.